Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to discuss how you can redeem 100,000 membership reward points for an incredible trip. Are you someone who has an American Express card that earns membership reward points and you've been racking up a ton of points but you're not sure exactly what to do with them? Well, if you have just 100,000 points, you could do a business class flight round trip over to Spain. You could also do a business class flight round trip over to Japan. You could fly in first class over to Japan, fly in first class over to Germany, get yourself a business class over to Australia. There are many potential trips and luxury flights that you could take with 100,000 membership reward points. So don't burn the value of your Amex points by giving yourself a statement credit. 100,000 membership reward points would only give you $600 in value if you redeem it that way. $600 is barely enough to go anywhere in the world right now. Use those 100,000 points for a nice trip that you want to take but don't want to have to shell out the money for. I know why you got your American Express membership rewards earning card, and it wasn't to get yourself low value with the card. The reason why you got it is because American Express does a great job with marketing and having this allure around their cards. And once you get their cards, you end up seeing that you can rack up so many points really quick, whether it be at getting 4x back on dining and grocery stores with the American Express Gold card, 5x back on flights with the American Express Platinum card, racking up points through Rakuten's shopping portal, or some of the Amex offers that are connected with the card. But in no time, you rack up 100,000 points, and while you're happy seeing this number in your account, now you're asking yourself the question, well, now what? Let's dive into some cool ways to redeem 100,000 American Express membership reward points. Now, if you don't happen to have a card that earns American Express membership reward points and you want to get one after watching this video, check in my description box to learn more about different American Express cards. If you decide to use one of my links, it does really help out the channel, and I'll be incredibly thankful for your support. So the first thing you need to ask yourself is, where do you want to go? Do you want to visit Europe, Asia, South America, Australia? As soon as you can pinpoint what place you want to go to, then you can start determining how you can end up redeeming these 100,000 points for that trip. So in my opinion, one of the best deals in the points and miles game, and I would say the best deal getting over to Europe, is going to be flying with Iberia in business class for only 34,500 Iberia Avios if you end up flying during off-peak time from the east coast of the US. Now, if you're flying from the west coast of the US, it's 42,500 Avios, which means that regardless of which side of the US you fly from, you can be able to do a business class round trip from the US over to Europe during off-peak times for under 100,000 American Express points. The taxes and fees will be close to about $150 to $200 depending on where you're flying from, but even still, I think this ends up being a great deal. I've taken advantage of this deal multiple times, and I'd recommend it to anyone who can find the award availability. Not only are you getting good value for your points, but the food on the plane is good, the lay flat bed is comfortable, and even though you're in business class, most likely you're gonna be paying less than people in economy are paying for this flight. Now, I've noticed that there only tends to be 2 seats available in business class when trying to make these award bookings, and they do end up getting booked up quickly, so I highly recommend that if you are interested in taking advantage of this, look as far in advance as you can. So if you want to book a flight for spring of 2025, you should start looking for award availability right now. Another good business class deal flying into Europe would be to fly into Amsterdam using the Flying Blue program. Flying Blue charges 50,000 Flying Blue miles for a business class flight. They do also add in somewhere between $200 to $300 in taxes and fees, but I still think this ends up being a great deal, and with 100,000 points, you can get yourself a round trip in business class on KLM. Now, I know that everyone who redeems their points wants to pay as little out of pocket as possible, and so do I. So I can understand why if you end up seeing round trip taxes and fees being somewhere near about $500 for this KLM flight, turning you off from wanting to make this award booking. But if you think about cashing out your points at what most banks would do it at, would being 1 cent equaling out to 1 point, that means that 100,000 points would give you $1,000 in value. If you add on the taxes and fees of being $500, that means that you're getting yourself a round trip in business class for close to about $1,500 of cash out value. I think that a round trip in business class from the US over to Europe for only $1,500 is a steal of a deal. So while yes, the taxes and fees are higher, I don't think that they're unreasonable or not worth making this booking. Now, there are a couple things that I want to note if you're going to be making an award booking with KLM. So KLM is part of the Flying Blue program, which also has Air France. And if you are going to be making a business class flight with KLM, if you make it with Air France's website, the taxes and fees are going to be slightly lower. The award price is going to be the same, but for some weird reason, Air France charges less taxes and fees than KLM does for its own flight. This isn't 100% of the time, but I've noticed that on many occasions, you will end up seeing a cheaper taxes and fees deal with Air France as compared to KLM. The second thing to note is that the Flying Blue program mixes together its Saver Awards with some outrageous award prices. So the Saver Award is going to be the 50,000 points that you're going to want to find for a business class flight over to Europe. but you'll see right next to it of like 400 or 700,000 flying blue miles to fly in business class as well. So don't get scared away as you start to do these searches and you only see these just insane numbers. If you scroll around a little bit, you'll end up seeing the Saver Awards of being 50,000 points, and that's what you're gonna wanna obviously book. Now I know that going on a trip with somebody can make the experience a lot better. So if you happen to wanna visit Paris with your spouse or a loved one, then you could end up doing this in economy for only 20,000 flying blue miles each way. So 80,000 points can get you a round trip over to Paris in economy for 2 people. Now, if you want to fly in premium economy, it is 34,000 flying blue miles, so you wouldn't have enough for 2 people to fly a round trip. But if you could take advantage of a 25% transfer bonus, which usually happens about 1 time throughout the year with the Flying Blue program and American Express, you wouldn't have exactly enough with 100,000 points. So if you get yourself a few more thousand points, you can get yourself a round trip in premium economy for 2 people. Now the taxes and fees in economy is usually under $100 each way, and in premium economy, it's usually a little over $100 each way. And what I like most about Flying Blue as compared to something like Iberia is that finding award availability with Flying Blue is a lot easier than most other programs out there. So instead of having to search day in and day out for award space, with Flying Blue, if you just open up their award calendar, chances are you'll pretty easily find award space in one of the months that you want to travel. Now let's move over to Asia. So usually when people like to fly over to Asia, a great place to start off at is going to be Japan. And there is a really good deal flying over to Japan with ANA for only 47,500 miles. Now in my opinion, this is a steal of a deal. But this deal does come with its challenges. So although the other awards that I talked about earlier in this video were booking directly with the airline, such as Iberia or with the Flying Blue program, with this award, you need to find Saver Award space on ANA, and then you would be able to book it with Virgin Atlantic by calling them and telling them that you want to make this award booking. Now, I will admit that this award deal, flying in business class on ANA using Virgin Atlantic miles, is a lot harder to find than the Flying Blue program is for their business class, or Iberia for its business class. But when it comes to the quality of the airline and also the cash cost for a business class flight on ANA over to Japan, you're gonna be getting yourself a tremendous value for your points. The tax and fees will be under $200. So if you can find award availability, that means that you could fly round trip over to Japan in business class on ANA for under 100,000 membership award points plus under $400 in taxes and fees. Next, let's look at flying to the land down under. So I recently just visited Sydney, Australia and had a blast. Now, I understand that not everyone needs to fly in business class, so if you are willing to fly in economy over to Australia, you could do it flying to Sydney or to Melbourne for 42,000 miles each way in economy with Qantas. So that means that if you have 100,000 membership award points, you can get yourself a round trip over to Australia. Now, I understand that Australia is really far since I did just travel there, so if you don't want to have to do the entire 24-hour round trip in economy, well, you can do one way in business class on United using your American Express membership award points. Now, United isn't partnered with American Express, so you can't directly transfer over your membership award points to your mileage account with United. But similar to like the example that I gave above to where you can fly on ANA using Virgin Atlantic miles, well, you can fly on United using Air Canada miles, and Air Canada is a partner of American Express. So instead of booking directly with United, what you do is find Save Award availability on Air Canada, and then you can book this business class flight for 87,500 Air Canada miles. Now, what I found is that the 87,500 Air Canada miles is if you want to fly over to Sydney or over to Melbourne, but there seems to be an even cheaper deal if you are specifically flying from San Fran over to Brisbane. It's only 75,000 Air Canada miles. This is definitely the way that I want to book a flight home from Australia after hanging out on the beach and drinking beer in this fun city. So now that you've seen the examples that I have that you can use your American Express membership award points, the question you need to ask yourself is, how do you want to redeem them? Do you still want to redeem them for money, or do you now want to redeem them for higher value taking a trip? Ideally, you would want to redeem your membership award points for a trip, but I understand that life happens and maybe you added a new addition to your family and you're not going to be seeing yourself traveling anytime in the near future. If this ends up being the case, get yourself some cold hard cash for your membership award points can end up being the best use case for them. Now, there are a number of different ways to cash out your American Express membership award points. The easier ways are not going to be the ways you're going to want to do it because they end up giving you the worst value for your points. So the first way would be to redeem for a statement credit. Now this is going to give you the lowest value at giving you only 0.6 cents per point. So if you have 100,000 membership reward points, you only get $600 towards statement credits. Now, $600 isn't nothing, don't get me wrong, but as you've seen from the examples that I gave earlier in this video for how you can end up redeeming your membership reward points, getting $600 as compared to some of these business class flights just isn't equal when it comes to value. The lowest that you would ever want to redeem your American Express membership reward points would be at 1 cent per point, which would mean that 100,000 points, you should be getting yourself at least $1,000. This is the reason why you don't want to redeem your membership reward points with Amazon or PayPal, because both of these are going to give you under 1 cent per point in value. The ways that you can get yourself at least 1 cent per point in value with cashing out your membership reward points would first be to have an American Express Platinum business card and also a business checking account. If you have both of these, you can cash out your membership reward points for 1 cent per point. And then also, if you happen to have the Charles Schwab Platinum card, you can cash out your membership reward points into your Charles Schwab brokerage account for 1.1 cent per point. So ideally, if you did want to cash out your American Express membership reward points, you'd want to get yourself the Amex Platinum Charles Schwab card, so then you could get yourself, for 100,000 membership reward points, $1,100 into your brokerage account. So just from having the Charles Schwab Platinum card, this would net you $500 more than just cashing out 100,000 points for a statement credit. Now this is what I would recommend for someone to do where life changes and now they see their membership reward points and they just want to turn it to cash because they just don't see themselves traveling in the near future. But if you are someone who is looking for cash back, I wouldn't even recommend getting yourself membership rewards points earning cards because you can probably get yourself a cashback setup. They'll end up giving you a better return for cash back than having these membership rewards earning cards. But if you do want to redeem for travel, you can see that 100,000 points can get you a long way and give you some incredible trips. So what are you waiting for? Go redeem your points for an awesome adventure. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comment section down below, what American Express cards do you currently have? Now, if you happen to have any questions about redeeming your American Express points, also drop down in the comment section down below. I'll do the best I can to answer it. And if you happen to realize this video, do me a favor. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this video, and have a beautiful rest of your day.